Hi, everybody. Welcome to Netflix and Phil. I want to tell you, I'm so excited about my next guest. She was first to enter the building. She was first to type. She catfished, as 26-year-old Rachel, and she's also the head bitch in charge. It's Deb Levy, everybody, from The Circle season 7. Woo-hoo!
That's right. The HBIC is here.
I'm so glad to have you, and thank you so much. Well, first of all, I connected with you so much on that show. I've been following it since season 1, and you left such an impression on me and my peers who were watching the show with me. We were so excited to watch you and follow your journey through it. So I want to talk about that. But you also had someone with you on the show, kind of in spirit. So I want to talk about dun dun dun.
Just so you know, this is my office. If you can't, I'm sitting at my desk. That's Phil's desk back there. This sits on my desk while I work.
That's hysterical.
Yes.
So this is Netflix and Phil, but who is that to you? Tell us about the other Phil.
That's Phil, my husband. Next week, 29 years. We've been married 29 years. We've been together 32 years.
Congratulations. And if you don't mind my asking, how did you meet? How did this all come about?
Oh my gosh. When I graduated college, I went to grad school. I got into University of Pittsburgh. I literally moved to Pittsburgh. I had 2 friends from college who lived here, but I knew nobody else. And back in the old days, people, you had to register in person. You had to go sit and wait for your name to be called. No, like they give you a paper and you're like, okay. They put me in this room and I'm waiting. And this guy sat down next to me and I could tell by the color of his paper, he was a grad student. I'm like, hi, I'm Deb. I don't know anybody in Pittsburgh. Who are you? We became friends. And then we had a mutual friend. He went to high school with a guy who was a friend of mine in college. That my one friend here in Pittsburgh.
Right.
And we'd go out and Phil, was out with us, and Sunil is his name, and Sunil would always buy beer because he was working, and Phil was in law school. P.S. This was in August. By December, we were dating.
Congratulations. And I'm so glad that the relationship has lasted so long and that he got to come with you in spirit on The Circle. So if you haven't seen the season, she refers to her husband, Phil, as your Philo. Is that?
Philo. Oh, yeah. Philo. And I wish I could say it came up with the name, but our son, Jason, when I ordered him and it came in, I was like, look at your dad. And my son looked at me and goes, it's Philo. We lost it. We were like, that's it. It's Philo.
And now, when we watch you on the show, you actually are not playing yourself, but you're catfishing as someone else, and that's Rachel. And I'm curious, who is Rachel to you, or how did you end up catfishing as that profile?
So going in as a catfish actually was really fun. I have to be honest. I think there's a little bit of freedom in that. You feel a little more, I don't know, you can do a few more things, but I thought it'd be really fun. In an ideal world, I would have gone back as myself. I would have put if my pictures didn't look so dated, my hair was this big. I would have just catfished as my old pictures, kind of like what Jordan did. In my ideal world, I wanted to be myself at 26, but I couldn't. And Rachel, so the reason I applied for The Circle, one of my best friend's daughters, a fan since she and her husband, they just got married, a fan since day one, Circle season 1. She's the one that was like, I need you to apply for my favorite reality TV show. And I did, kind of as a joke with her. We spent an hour and a half with me filling out the forms, crying, laughing at the answers I gave.
Love it.
And then when I got called for it, and I was like, it was actually starting to happen, I needed a catfish. The problem is, me back at 26 is someone who's kind of really not a girly girl, not a lot of makeup. I had to find someone who was like that. This girl who had me apply, Maddie, her best friend that she grew up with, who I've known her whole life, is Rachel. And I always used to say, if I had had a daughter, it would have been Rachel, because she's shut up. She's always like, it's all right. And, she doesn't care. Love her. And I was like, I think I could be her. Because, think about it. Even though you're catfishing, you still want to be able to kind of see yourself as that person.
Sure.
So I needed, if I put on, my niece is real glam. And I have a niece who's she's really, and always her makeup's perfect. I couldn't pretend to be that. Look, you're lucky. I think I brushed my hair before I came on.
You look great.
I think I did. I put a brush through it. That was about it. I was like, it's good enough. My best friend's daughter, who got me on the show, this is her best friend. I've known them I watched them grow up, and it just was like full circle.
Well, no pun intended. So that's amazing, and you played her so strategically and so well that I was in awe.
Oh, you're
Also, something that you did, which was very strategic, right off the bat, you made quick and fast friends, or an alliance, if you will, with the twins who played the character of Gianna. And something that you had in common was that you were both from Staten Island, correct?
but I couldn't use that. So
I
what was
see.
funny,
Uh-huh.
so here's the thing about that, by the way.
Yeah.
I would like to just for the record state the only alliance that mattered, that stayed true the whole time. But as soon as I saw they were from Staten Island, if it was Gianna, I was gonna take Gianna to get my nails done. She was gonna become my shopping buddy. Oh yeah, I have plans for me and Gianna. So you have to understand there's something really funny about Staten Island. Staten Island's like always forgotten that's part of New York City. People make jokes about Staten Island. But if you grow up there, it's a really like unique place. You feel a lot of kinship. Everyone knows all the rest. Like, it's just one of these places.
Yeah.
So Gianna's from there. And I'm like, I knew if I could make a Staten Island connection, I knew that we would never, ever turn on each other. I just knew. I had to think for a minute, how do I do this? And it was just so funny. I was like, I guess I'll just say my mother's from Staten Island. It was perfect. Yeah.
A brilliant choice. And then you also connected on a like a location or something that you referenced during the show. It's like Ralph's Ice.
Slices and ice. Wait, slices and ices.
Yes.
Ralph's ices. Yes. So here's the thing. The other thing about Staten Island, you got to prove that you are to the bone. Like you could say from Staten Island, but I need to know it's in your blood, right? Like I knew they needed to know. And I knew there were certain things everybody knows, slices and ices. If you don't know that, you're not from Staten Island. I'm sorry. Get out of here.
Well, you should have seen me frantically Google mapping Ralph's Ice and slices on the internet. So I found it and I was like, oh.
It is. I mean, of course, I grew up by the original Ralph's. Like there's the original Danino's pizza, I just would like to say.
I saw that. So is that what they mean by the slice? Because I see it's like steps away from.
Exactly. Slices and then ices. Slices, ices, right there. Boom.
Well, I love you made that connection, and it stayed so true throughout the series. So I guess my question for you is, I know sometimes you struggled with it on the series, but how did you maintain the lingo? Because a lot of the characters, I know. How did you maintain some of the slang that we often see in this show since its inception? Because a lot of the players often skew younger and they're saying things that I don't even understand half the time. How did you maintain that?
So we were allowed to bring our notebook. You see me frantically thumbing through a notebook, right?
Yes.
I spent, so Maddie's husband, Dylan, my son, Jason, we had a massive meeting before I left for the circle.
Good.
And they all knew I was going on. The reason was my son knew, my husband knew. There was a very small group of people who knew where I was going. Maddie and Dylan knew because they were actually in some of my photos that I had given.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And since Rachel was my catfish, she had to know I was going on. So we had this literally, there was this tiny circle. So I basically was like, who can help me? And the only people who knew were my kids, Maddie, Dylan, and Rachel. That was it. It was the only kids who could help me. So we sat down, and I wish they let us keep it. They actually took our notebooks from us. My notebook was hilarious. I had something like 100 common text slang things in there. Of course, did they give me HBIC? No, I had to learn that. But so much in there. I was like, what's yeet? Do I yeet things? Like, I was like, so I had all of these things. Do I yeet this? And then they're like, too long, didn't read, TYDL. I'm like, I don't know. So if you ever see me frantically thumbing through things, I'm trying to figure out what I'm supposed to say. Yeah, but obviously, even with them, and the whole thing about Riz, what's funny about when they asked me, here's what makes that funny. They thought they were going to get me. So when they were doing the interview with me, when you see me say, I got Riz, they're asking you questions in that.
Sure.
And the producer says, so do you think you have Riz? And I looked at him, I went, baby, this is Riz. And they start laughing. And when it was over, after they stopped filming, they go, do you know what Riz is? I'm like, charisma. And
Nice.
I'm so proud of myself.
Congrats. Yeah, because as you're saying it, and I saw that in your intro on the show, and to this day, I still don't understand or know what it is, but charisma makes sense.
But it was my son who's like, don't forget Riz. I'm like, what? To me, Riz sounds like something yucky. So I was like, Riz, what's Riz? And he's like, no, it's good. And so that one I caught. But yeah, no, thought it was so clever. I had these 5 kids in their 20s, helping me. Like I had lists of things. Didn't help.
I thought if I happened to be another player, I would have never suspected that you weren't you, because I felt like you really held your own and were convincing. So I would have never guessed. So I wanted to pay you that compliment. So you did excellent as that.
Oh, thanks. I always knew I liked people named Phil.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Something else that you did great as, which made me a little nervous, is unique to this season. There was something called the Disruptor, which you engaged. And in it, you had to switch profiles with someone else. Yeah, let's close Phil's ears.
It covers ears.
Walk us through what you had to do and how easy or hard that might have been.
So here's what's funny to me. So when the Disruptor first comes out, and the first 2 are really good.
Yeah.
Right? The first 2 are good. You got the twins get saved. Kevin has a party.
Yes.
I knew that the next Disruptor was going to be bad.
Yes.
But I also knew, because the game we had played, I only had Gianna. I had no other alliances. Things were not going in my direction.
Mm-hmm. Understood.
So I was like, well, if it's bad, who knows? Like, it could maybe help my game.
Okay.
I am sure the producers were salivating as I was like, I'm going to disrupt. Like, whoever I was going to disrupt with, they were going to do something to me that was just going to be like, they could not wait to see me disrupt again. Like, they were like, she's got to do it again. She's got to do it again. And it's funny because what you don't see is us really thinking about it beforehand. You know, a disruptor's coming and you have to, are you going to say it? Are you going to pick it or not? I was like, yeah, of course I'm out anyway. Like, if I don't do something.
Right.
I knew it was going to be something bad. And then when they tell us what it is, I'm like, oh no. Yeah. Oh no. And here's what I do think how it saved my game though.
Okay.
I decided I just vomited out. Like when I got to talk to Madeline, I just was like, here's everything. I figured I had nothing to lose. I had everything to gain. I'm just going to tell her everything that's going on my end, hope that she does the same for me. And that could change the game for me. And it really did. That's what did it.
It was a real smart move on your part just to say, okay, all bets are off. Let me get in this one-on-one with Madeline. And if you don't know what we're talking about, there's a point in the season where you have to switch profiles with Madeline. And
you can't tell anyone. You can never tell anyone. Right.
Big secret. And you had to get a little bit, what was it? Spicy.
Dirty. I had to have sexting, which was awful. So of course the first thing, so I tell Madeline who my alliance is, what's going on, that Gianna's my girl, these things. She writes me back, I have been flirting and talking dirty basically with Andy. And I'm like, oh no, because I knew, just so you guys know, I did not grow up with a cell phone or texting. And even when we got, texting, my husband and I were parents. Sure. For us, a sext is I cleaned the dishes. You're like, oh, ooh, come up. Sexting is, you want me to pick you up some ice cream on the way home from work? Like, oh, honey, talk dirty to me. Like, that's our love language, right? Like, that's what they didn't show in it is I'd love to see, I always say this, I'd love to see some of the B-roll or whatever that, the extra stuff that they don't get to show, because I get it, they can't show everything. I was in a panic that morning, thumbing through never did I think thumbing through, and I couldn't. So there's a point where I'm literally going, bananas, eggplants, grapes, cherries, peaches. And then I was like, apples? I was like trying to think pineapple. I was like, no, I know pineapples. No. It was like upside down, right side. Like I was like trying to figure out. Then I was like, what do you call each other? Babe, dude, no. I could not think of any words. Like I had no idea. And what you also don't see. So if those of you who didn't see it, I have this like dirty little discussion. I suggest a threesome at some point, which it was the only thing I could think of as dirty. Like that in my generation, that was like, oh, and it was whispered right back when I was like have you ever had a threesome? Like you whispered it, but I was like, I don't think I do. So like you throw that out there. What you don't see is I send a sexy pic of Madeline. Oh, I sent a sexy pic of her too, Andy.
Right.
I thought that was what I was supposed to do. When Madeline, by the way, for those of you, when Madeline watches, she's like, "That's the pic you sent." I was like, "Yeah, I like that." She's like, "Damn, girl." I was like, "I know." What you don't see, and I think I know why when they edited it down. Heather sent me back a picture.
Oh,
and Andy, it was waist up, no shirt, dripping wet. And this was literally me for like, I think 2 minutes straight. Just this. I wasn't sure how you're supposed to respond to that. And all I did, and if I remember correctly, I think I would love to watch it because I swear my response back was something like, "That's hot." Like something that Paris Hilton used to say. It was horrible. Like, I'm sure that they were just like, "Oh, we're not going to, that's so cringe. We can't show that."
Okay.
As it was, they had so many ridiculous things to show of me. They're like, let's save for a little embarrassment and not do that one.
Well, thank you for that insight, because that's a little bit of insight into things that we wouldn't have seen or that were edited out.
Yeah. I seriously was like, I don't. What do you say to a picture? Like, and then later on, I thought to myself, truthfully, like all I wanted to do was like wash him down. I'm like, "Oh, you're sweaty. You need a bath, mister." Like, if it had been me, I'd be like, "Go take a bath. You're sweaty."
So you survived that, and you continued along and continued being successful and rating well in the program. And then you get to what I just watched it earlier today, actually, and it's a very touching moment with Garrett, who also I'm a huge fan of on the show. And he came to meet with you, and I thought that was such a special moment. That,
And I'm kind of sad that you guys didn't get to see all the conversations, and I get it. And we all did. We have a group chat that we've had for the past year.
Yes.
It's kind of sad for those of us who know how long the chats went on.
Yeah.
And I understand they have to condense them. And I think they do a good job of giving you an overview of what happened in the chat and what, like Jadasia and Darian had nice long chats too, but you only get the overview. Garrett and I had a really nice chat, like a long one that they only showed when he left. Remember when he left the chat? They didn't show that I found out a whole bunch of things about him, and it was real, and we shared a lot, but of course, being a catfish, I couldn't share about my son or anything, but I felt like I kind of got to know him a little bit more than what you see. And then when he came in, what you see is he's just a genuine, sweet person. And I just thought to myself, how is it anyone wouldn't support you and love you and be part of your life? Like, that made me, like right off the bat, I'm just like, and how sweet for him to finally go, "Wait a minute, I can't believe I've been tell me about you." Yeah. And it was the first, how sweet is he? Like, "I want to hear all about you, Deb. You just tell me." And it was the first time I could be myself on the show and tell my story a little bit. And he's just a really, what you see, that kind-hearted person is exactly who he is.
That's huge. Yeah, and it's such a great moment when the two of you meet in person and that you get to share.
I like that he was truly mad at first, though. And I truly felt terrible. Like, those reactions were real. Like, no one made him do that. No one made me be like, "I'm so sorry." That was how we were in the moment. Like, we both, like, he was just like, "How could you do this?" I was like, "What?"
So I want to jump from that, and there's another moment because you were very intuitive during much of the show, and you suspected something of Kevin, who was in the lead for a majority of it, but there was something that you couldn't put your finger on. Walk us through what that was and how you found him out.
Okay. So I was a lifeguard. Now, what makes all of this very funny,
yes,
it's not when I applied, I was a lifeguard when I was in college. Yes. And I worked at pools and stuff. I don't think I ever in any way, shape, or form ever mentioned to the circle that why would I? I was a lifeguard 30-something years ago.
Right.
All right. So the first thing that happens with Kevin is his picture. And I was like, no lifeguard would put that picture up. That's not a lifeguard picture. And I was like, no way. And then his answers, I'm not joking. This is how wrong I was about everybody. I was convinced that Kevin was a 35-year-old douchey guy who was acting like a frat bro and that he thought he was so cool, and I was like, what an asshole. Like, I hope I can say that on here. In my head was envisioning like some 35-year-old guys like, I was the quarterback in high school. Like, like that guy.
Right.
Oh. And it just annoyed me. And I knew, and I'm like, everything Kevin said, I was like, liar.
Right.
And so the whole time I was like, he's not a lifeguard. That really bugged me because I was like, everyone was believing everything they said about him.
Yes.
So when I did the question, so they ask you, so the way that game worked, they said, everyone, we're going to play a game.
Yeah.
And ask me anything. They said you could pick who you could ask. So there's a moment, you don't see where I'm like, Kevin. I was like, I don't have to think about it. And the best part is they first say to you, you do have time before it's typed up there. Like you say it first. And they're like, all right, Deb, what's your question? And I give them the question. And they go, oh my God, that's your question? I went, oh yeah, that's my question. And then I said to the voice we call them the voice of God, because we don't see them. They just come through the speaker. And I said, I was a lifeguard. And I'm not do you guys think I'm making this up? I've said it like throughout the whole time I've been here. I keep saying I was a lifeguard. This guy's not a lifeguard. I was like, ask that question. They're like, okay, like this is your one shot. I'm like, that's the question. So we put it up there and it was the greatest. And what you don't see is actually that wait where everyone's like, what's he waiting for? That wait was actually over 5 minutes. Like we were all like,
if he had a notebook, he was probably going like this.
That's what made it so funny, because that's when I was like, I did it. I finally shown people he's not who he says he is. Meanwhile, the only thing he lied about was the lifeguard. I'm thinking he's some idiot who we're all going to hate when we meet him. Legit thought I was going to hate him from the second. And meanwhile, I adore Kevin. When I say adore, like, I think he is the cutest, sweetest guy. He better get on some dating show. Like, I freaking love him. And I feel terrible. Like, I was like,
Well, it's not out of the question, because what Netflix does well is they kind of actually find opportunities for players on The Circle or any of their other shows to kind of jump around and appear on other
I would love to see Kevin on a dating show, because poor Kevin, can you imagine someone's like, Kevin!
So I'm just very curious. So you mentioned voice of God, and you have people kind of prompting you throughout the show. What the players also do is they often have to kind of vocalize their inner thoughts. And do you have to train for that, or is it just something they encourage, or how does that work?
In the beginning, it is a little weird. So you first get in, and before you go into they work with, we're there a couple of days before filming starts.
I see.
You kind of get an idea of what will happen when you go in, but you don't know till you're in there.
Yeah.
And they said, when you go into the apartment, everything you're thinking, you have to say. That's why when I walked in, I was like, I got the jungle room. Like that was my response, because I got a jungle room. They had made sure you were prepared for that. Get in the second you walk in, everything you see, anything that pops into your head, say it. So at least when you first go in, you're ready for it. But then what happens is they say it's time to set up your profile. And they do, I would say it really only took 2 days, seriously. They would see me thumbing through something or writing something down, and they'd be like, Rachel, we need you to speak everything you're thinking. Truthfully, by day 3, I was like, I think I'm gonna go pee-pee. I was vocalizing everything. I think I'm gonna wear this underwear. You know what? Those socks aren't comfortable. My tag is itchy. By day 3, nothing. I had no more inside voice. By day 3, it was like, this is disgusting. Let's throw it away. It didn't matter. Actually, when you see, what's funny is some of the things you see us doing, it's ridiculous, but it wasn't even prompted, the things I was saying out. Like when I was walking around the apartment, pointing out things, and I broke the chair. That was legit me. I knew we were almost to the end. I was really starting to lose it. And I was going around my apartment going I hate that. I hate that. I hate that cow. I hate that. And I just was vocalizing. It was to the point it was stupid. Literally vocalizing. I hate that. That smells. That's terrible. Oh, vocalizing. Is the garbage bad? Everything. So 2 days. I would say after 2 days, you're vocalizing everything.
This is great. Well, now you're done shooting. Now, was it difficult to stop saying everything?
Actually, do you know what's funny? The running joke we all had was I kept wanting to be like, circle send message. Everything. Or the other thing is I was like, I need to put a hashtag on this or an emoji on everything. Like hashtag emojis. Constant.
Well, thank you for that behind the scenes. I've always been so curious. So
and it becomes second nature. Like it's kind of weird. And I think if you watch the progression of the season, like I said, you start to see, I'm just talking about stupidity at this. I talked to Phil. I don't know if you see at one point, he was sitting next to me and I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on. That's how it got. Like you just got to the point you vocal. I don't know. It's crazy.
Thank you for that insight. That's huge.
And we have a secret bathroom, right? The secret
bathroom. I saw that. I think it was another interview I read, and you said there's one for camera and there's the real one. I don't know. Explain it to me.
Off of the bedroom, you never see it. There is a private bathroom.
Okay, good.
And that's where you do your business, you take a shower, and I would get dressed in there. Now, obviously, they want you to get ready in the other bathroom. So I would put my makeup on in the other bathroom. I would do my hair in the other bathroom, but everything else, I never went to the bathroom in that one. And what's funny though, here's what's funny about that. We have mics on.
Sure.
So at first they were like, I said, well, if I have to go to the bathroom, they go, just tell us, we'll turn your mic off. So the day one, I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom. All right. By day 2, I was like, I have to pee, turn it off. And then by day 3, I was kind of like, I don't care. I'm going to the bathroom. Listen if you want. Like, you don't even care. I don't know what happens to you. You become just ridiculous. It was just ridiculous.
I love hearing all that insight. I'm sure my viewers love it too. If you don't mind, I just wanted to shift a little bit. You on the show share your Jewish faith, and I think that's just a great thing to incorporate. And I wanted to ask you, Hanukkah is approaching.
Did you see my TikToks? Oh, okay. First of all, so what you have to understand is I grew up on Staten Island.
Okay.
Staten Island had a lot of Jewish people, a lot of Italian people. Like I thought I was half Italian my entire life growing up. I was like, you're not. But I was like, but I'm surrounded by it. I have to be.
Yes.
So, and as a kid, everyone went all out with Christmas lights. And I would beg, we would put an electric menorah in the window, and I'd beg my mother for blue lights. Nah! And she wouldn't let me. So I swore when I grew up, I'd have blue lights. So this kind of became this funny thing when I got my own place and I became an adult, that I would just do little things. Well, then I had kids and I just started going nuts. I don't know what happened, but I am known as the Hanukkah house. People drive by my house, people from my synagogue ask if they can bring their kids by to visit the house, because the house is, people will say to me, how have you found these things? I'm like, it's 30 years of collecting stuff. Like, I don't know anymore. And I will be doing, because I buy something, poor Phil. Phil never knows what the new thing is. He just comes home from work one day and it's out. And he's like the laser lights. I have laser lights on the house. One day he came home from work and he's like, are those dreidels flashing on our house? I'm like, yes, they are. Then he came home to a 7-foot bear holding a menorah blow-up bear. Oh, he's upstairs. He can't hear me. What I got a new thing for it actually goes out your window, and it's a bear lunging out the window with a dreidel.
I love that. And he doesn't know about it yet.
He doesn't know. No, I hide these things from him. And my kids always know, and they're like, oh, Dad's going to be like, not again. The whole house is insanity level. And even I'm every once in a while like, what am I doing? But it's become like my thing. And we have a famous party every year called Levika.
Okay.
It's the Levy Hanukkah party. And I have 40 people at the house. It's like a big open house. It's hilarious. And my kids, we've been doing it since they were little. And now it's now it's weird to watch all these kids that grew up at my house, drinking beer and spinning the dreidel, but playing a drinking game, instead of playing for the gelt, the chocolate, they're playing with beer. I'm like, I don't know what happened, but okay. Whatever, man. That's cool.
Well, I appreciate your sharing all the insight about the circle and your home during the holidays.
Oh, thank you.
so
And I have to tell I just want you to know, everyone on this season was amazing. There is no bad blood. Like everyone, like what you saw at the end, that was all legit. Like people were mad, but everyone really, we have this amazing group chat. I, these were really special people, and I feel like they're all my family. I feel like they're all my kids. And I really am looking forward to watching them all get something really good out of this. I hope that great things happen for all of them. They all deserve it. They are all truly kind-hearted, sweet, lovely people, all of them. And I feel like I'm really lucky. Now, I did get to meet a lot of other people from other seasons
Sure.
at the I don't know if it's maybe the circle cast people who aren't maybe so famous. I'm not sure, but these were really good-hearted, nice people who care. And I don't know if that's unique to the circle, but I, I can't say enough about these kids. And I call them my kids. I love them all, and I hope great things happen for them. I'm so excited for them. I just want to retire and play pickleball. That is my goal. Ellen and we just want to retire and go play pickleball for the rest of our life.
We're so grateful that you, the circle, provided us an opportunity to get to know you and Phil, of course. And you hold a great place in my heart because you were one of my favorite characters on that season.
Oh,
Thank you so much, Deb. Well, I know it's late where you are, and I don't want to keep you any longer. Is there any one last thing you want to share before I let you go?
let me think. What else? Oh, I will tell you something funny. You know, we had a fire. There was a fire alarm that went off.
I didn't know
and
that.
They had to try and get us out. And we can't see each other. So when they came, it was the middle of the night, it was like 3:00 in the morning, and they're like, they put this like blanket on me and a mask and all this stuff. And it was like, but apparently Kevin, when he heard the alarm, ran out of his apartment. And they're like, no.
So everyone was frantic. Well, and I think your season was one of the first seasons that it was filmed in the US, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's totally interesting. And
yeah, so that was just a funny thing. And I was like, wait, what? And they're like putting black. I'm like, oh, come on, man.
Well, I guess if you get discovered, the whole show's ruined. So I'm sure they were in a panic.
It was all good, but this was really fun. I had to tell all my friends from the show to come on with you.
Well, please do. You're probably the second or third circle contestant that I've had on, but as you said, everyone throughout all the seasons, I don't know what it is. Sometimes reality shows, there's always like a villain or people you hate, and they don't get along. But the circle doesn't have any of that, and I think that's why
it's really nice.
Why I love to fall. It's a breath of fresh air, and so are you. So thank you.
If you come to Pittsburgh, you have to come stay here.
Okay.
I won't cook for you because I don't cook, but I'll order us a nice meal. I'll show you around. It's really nice. Pittsburgh's really nice. I love it.
Well, you heard it here. Well, thank you very much, Deb Levy from The Circle Season 7. I'm Phil of Netflix and Phil, and that's Phil.
This is Deb and Phil.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.